Hi everyone, I'm Cheryl and welcome to the Sewing Room channel. This is a Bearpaw quilt block, and basically what it is there is down in here one large square, and then up here are half square triangles. Now don't get scared when you see these. These are not difficult to make. I've got a really easy method for making them. So this is one way to do the Bearpaw, using all the same color of fabrics. But in this tutorial, here is also a Bearpaw, but I'm going to show you how to take different fabrics, because I'm sure a lot of you have scrap fabrics, bring them all together. So instead of one big square here down here in this corner, I've used 4 squares and then the 4 half square triangles. Now this is a table topper I made a while back. So you can put 4 of them together like this and make a table topper, or you can make one big quilt if you want to. Okay, let's get started. Take 2 of your background squares and we're going to turn the fabric over to the other side. So this is called right side. It's the prettiest side of the fabric, and I'm turning it over to the wrong side. You'll notice I have 3 lines here. So the first line is going to be going directly from one corner to the other, and these are opposite corners. So lay your ruler there, lining up the 2 corners, and then draw a line. Now move the ruler over 1/4 inch. So you've got your 1/4 inch line on top of the line you just drew, the one that's going corner to corner, and draw a line. Now turn it and place that 1/4 inch line back on top of that center line, and then draw the 3rd line. Here's what the 3 lines represent. The 2 outer lines are your stitch line. The center line is your cut line. So now take those 2 background squares and get 2 of your squares for the Bearpaw, and have right side facing up, which is your prettiest side. Bring right side down against it. So now you see your drawn lines. I recommend you put a few pins along the seam to hold it together, and then stitch right on top of the 2 drawn lines. Then go and press these seams. Now place your ruler back on that center line, and then cut the block in half, and then go over to your other one and do the same thing. So now stack them where you have the darkest fabric on top, and when you go to your ironing board, you're just going to take one at a time, open it up, and you're going to take the darkest side and press it towards this seam. So you unfold it and then press it with your iron, and do that with all of your pieces. Sometimes when you're stitching on your fabric might stretch a little bit, and when you're pressing it, you might accidentally stretch it too much. So you want to be very careful. But one important step that you need to do is actually make sure that this is square. So I've got my ruler here, and I've got a little piece of tape right here on this center diagonal line. So if you have one of these quilting rulers, and it will help you a lot, this is the line I'm referring to. Then I've put some paper here on the 4.5 inch line on this side as well as this side, because I want to make sure that I can see real easily where the 4.5 inch line is. So the first thing you do is put the diagonal line on top of this seam. Okay, so now I'm going to center that line. Now I purposely had you cut squares out that were just a little too big, because I find it's easier to square them if I've got fabric that was a little too big to begin with. And I've done this hundreds of times. So I've got that diagonal line on there. I have a little bit of fabric sticking out on these two edges. Those are the two edges I'm focusing on right now. So cut this edge and then go over and cut this edge. Now take this corner and bring it over here. So I'm just going to turn it like that. Place the diagonal line back on top, but put your 4.5-inch lines on these two edges. Okay, so put those two lines on there. Make sure your diagonal line is in place. You don't want things to be all crooked. And then cut the last two sides. Do this with all of your half square triangles. Now lay everything out like this. So you have one background square, two half square triangles, one half square triangle, two of your Bearpaw fabrics, one half square triangle, two of your Bearpaw fabrics. Then you want to take each row by itself and stitch them together. So stitch a 1/4 inch seam and then go over and stitch these two together, and do that to the next row and the next row. You want to press all of your seams. So I'm going to turn these over because I want to show you what I've done. Each row is going in a different direction. So this first row, I have it going towards my right. Second row, it's towards my left. And then the third row, back over to my right. And I'm doing that so when I bring the seams together of each row, it just locks in really nice. So I'm going to turn them back over. So take your first two rows and line them up. So first thing you do is line up the seams. So you want to make sure the seam on the bottom is going in the opposite direction than the seam on top. Then I recommend you put a pin there. Then go over to the next one. Make sure they're going in opposite direction and place a pin. Then once this is stitched on, then you go over to the last row, put it on top, and repeat that step. Line up the seams first, pin it, and then stitch a 1/4 inch seam. After you've stitched your rows together, then you're going to press the seams on the back. And then what I like to do when I'm done is just on the top side, just press all the seams in one direction. So you see it's going in all in one. It doesn't matter which direction. Your last step is to square your quilt block. And so you would just place your ruler on top and line it up and look to see if you have anything that's sticking out or anything that it doesn't quite fit in that 12.5 inch square. Then if it doesn't, if it's off, you need to go back and figure out where it's off, because when you piece all of your squares together, if they're not squared to 12.5 inches or whatever size you're making, it's not going to hang right and you're going to have a hard time getting all the pieces to fit. So on this block, I've got just a little piece that's sticking out on one side. So what I'm going to do is I'm double checking. Before you start cutting into it, you want to double check. And so what I usually do is I will cut whatever side I'm on. I'll cut this first, and then I'll go across this way and cut. Then I'll bring this corner over to here, double check that side, and if anything needs to be trimmed off, then go ahead and trim it. If you want to put sashing on it, I will have 2 tutorials down below your YouTube screen in the description section. So scroll down. When you see the word more, click on it, and that section will expand open. And you will see links on how to put sashing strips in between all of your blocks. On this particular one, I have cornerstones, these little squares. So there's one that's just sashing strip, no cornerstones, and then another one. And if you want to put something like this together, all you need to do is make 4 of these bear paws and put sashing around it and then finish it off. Also below your YouTube screen, I will have other tutorials that you may want to check out that I think would be very helpful to you. Also, don't forget to follow me on Instagram and make sure you check out my Facebook page. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time, and happy sewing. If you like the Sewing Room channel, one of the best ways to show your support is to subscribe by clicking on that red subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to click on share to share this video with your friends. And make sure you click on the bell so you receive notifications for all my new videos. I'm Cheryl. This is Manny. See you next time.